Do you like comic books, video games, movies, and television? Are you way more interested in fictional superheroes than actual human beings or real life? Do you like listening to people discuss these topics for roughly an hour or two at a time?
Well, if you liked when this asshole did it alone, you're gonna love me.
This is the intro to our podcast, ain't it? What is happening, everybody? And welcome back to the Bat in the Hat podcast, where we dive deep into all things nerd. My name, of course, is John Stewart, and with me, as always, is Matt. Just Matt. What's up, Matt?
Hey, man, I loved you in Big Daddy with Adam Sandler.
Thank you so much.
Big fan.
Was that John Stewart? Oh,
yeah,
that is John
yeah,
Stewart.
definitely was.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we know that I'm a different John Stewart.
Oh, Green Lantern.
Yes.
Oh, I get that now. I
Yes.
loved you in Green Lantern.
And I loved you in saving our space sector.
Yeah. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking,
That's
John.
awesome.
And good to
so
see you.
I haven't seen you since last week because we don't actually like each other, and
it's been too soon.
yeah, it's been going back to this weekly schedule has sucked because I just see twice as much of you.
Excuse me.
The speaking of John Stewart, though, there's a reason I picked that as. I mean, that there's a reason. There's not a my. I am John
remix.
Stewart. Remix. Dave Ramsey, who plays John Diggle on Arrow, has said that from what he hears, we are definitely going to get a conclusion to the Green Lantern teases that we've gotten.
I thought Dave Ramsey just got traded from the Jaguars to the Rams.
Jalen?
Oh, Dave Ramsey for the show Arrow. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm all off base today.
Yeah, you're thinking of Jalen Smith, Will Smith's son. He was just traded.
That's Joaquin Smith. He was just starring in
that's
the Jared Leto Joker movie.
No, that's Joaquin Phoenix, and he was just in Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Russell Crowe starred
Right.
revamp of Firefly.
Yeah, he was in the reboot of Firefly.
Welcome to our new improv show. We are two idiots and a chair.
Yes, and
So yeah,
No.
so he said there's going to be a
so he
conclusion.
says from what he has heard, from what he knows, they said they've been teasing it since like season 2, I think was the first time we heard of like Coast City and stuff, and we're finally going to
Ferris
get
Air and all that.
what's that?
Ferris
Yeah, like
Air and
Ferris
all that.
Air in here and stuff like that, and they made a couple other like big drops about like Green Lantern and stuff, but from apparently, and of course the biggest one being John Wesley Shipp coming through from that parallel dimension, parallel dimension sounds so dumb knowing there's a multiverse, but coming from that alternate Earth saying, "John, where's your ring?" And that freaked us all out, so that was awesome. But he says that now that we're in the last season of Arrow, we should get an answer. I'm not back to watching these CW shows, but I am watching The Flash and Green Arrow just because I really want to know what's going on once the Crisis event happens, and they seem to be the two, obviously, ones taken. I tried so hard to watch Batwoman. Gotta tell you, both episodes so far,
Not great.
they were just bad. I'm sorry. It was, and I love Ruby Rose. That's her name, right? Ruby Rose.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think she's fantastic. I have nothing against her. I just thought that the writing was dry, man. It seemed very like on the nose, and it kind of felt like those early 2000s TV shows. Like, you remember Birds of Prey? You remember that show?
Yep.
It feels a lot like Birds of Prey.
Oh wow.
Really corny and weird, and like all the references are right on the nose, and almost like when they say Bruce Wayne, every time somebody says the words Bruce Wayne, they like Bruce Wayne, like they really try to emphasize it.
Wow.
Like we get it. He's Batman. like
You're in the same world. We understand.
Speaking of that, though, apparently due to the injuries that Ruby Rose sustained early on in the filming process, she is no longer going to be doing any of her stunts because she almost died, and she's like, "Hey, I think I'm done doing stunts for a while."
Due to fan reception and also ratings, she will probably no longer be doing the episodes.
And honestly, I hope not. I think that I would much rather, because I love the character. Like, Kate Kane is such a great character. Again, I think Ruby is a great choice, and I was always behind her casting. And I think that I would much rather see it be just taken seriously. Like, I don't know who's writing it. I don't know. I think they actually have done a kind of decent job with I guess the main villain right from the jump is Alice instead of the Mad Hatter. It's Alice, and but again, it's so on the nose. It's like they start immediately. There was no mystery behind any of it. Like just right off the bat, it was kind of like this is what everything is, and let's throw as many references and crazy things in the first 2 episodes. And instead of getting a nerdgasm, I was like, all right, just fucking write it. Like write it good. Like
So I'm gonna ask a question that might be. I'm just gonna ask the question.
sure.
So if the show just sucks, like let's just call it what it is. Like if there's not good writing,
Right.
the show's just not very good, and it gets canceled. Do you think they're just gonna go with the fact that hey, we just didn't put out a good show, or is it gonna turn into it's because a woman was the lead, or because of this?
So do you think
or...
it's gonna be?
You know what I'm trying to ask, right?
I get what you're trying to ask. I think that I think we're too as much as it feels like we're regressed sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're a little too past that point where they're gonna. I mean, when you have successes from like Patty Jenkins doing Wonder Woman, and you have some just really kind of knockout movies. Captain America, or I'm sorry, not Captain Marvel again was very divisive, but for me at least, I very much enjoyed it. Thought it was a fantastic movie. I think that we're kind of past that point of like, see what happens when you put a woman in charge. Like,
Well, I just hate when something's bad,
right?
and then you got to feel bad for not liking it. Like it's just like I didn't like it because it wasn't good.
No, yeah,
it's not because of any other circumstance.
And not to be like Facebook inspirational, but I'm kind of past that point myself of like feeling bad for my opinion on those kinds of things because I'm not a sexist.
Now, I'll
I'm not a
100%
racist.
say
I'm
I
not-
haven't watched
you know
either
what
of the
I mean?
episodes, so
Right.
I fully will. Like, I'll check it out, and
Well,
if I love it, that's cool.
And I think that's important. Like I don't think I went into it like expecting it to be good. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie. I saw the
and-
first trailer, and I was like, "This looks pretty good." And then I read all the reactions. They're like, "Oh,
Well,
it's gonna
see,
be
and
terrible."
I saw the first trailer and thought it was awful. I was like, this looks bad. But I went into it just like I go into everything. I was very hopeful, and I just ended up not liking it. Do I think it could turn the tide? Yes. It's so early on. The only reason I'm disappointed at where it's at early on is we've had 5 other shows to set the example
Oh yeah.
of how this is supposed to go. And then they were like, oh, but what if we did this different but worse? You know what I mean? And again, it's not through the faults of any of the actors. Ruby Rose is fantastic. The chick who plays her sister, the chick who plays Alice is fantastic. They're really good at what they're doing. There's even some story elements in the love triangles, stuff that even though I hate the soap opera nonsense.
One Tree Hill. Like we always talk about. with
Yeah,
the
like I
series
keep
and-
expecting Chad Michael Murray to just walk out at any point.
I just want to see. Why can't I think of his name? The main guy from Dawson's Creek, James Vanderbeek.
James
I just want
Vanderbeek,
to see that
yeah.
GIF where he's crying. Where he's
Yeah.
like,
And I think that a lot of them, but it's like they just so bad want to throw it at us and be like, hey, like this, and here's all the I'll tell you, and I'm not sure if it's the actor's fault or the writing, but the kid who's playing Lucius Fox's son, Luke Fox, a lot of us know him in the comics as Signal, or I'm sorry, Signal is a different character. He is Batwing, and he kind of came in during the Batman
yeah,
Incorporated.
because he's at Batman Inc. and all that
Right,
stuff,
and he
right.
went to go be the Batman of Africa and take care of a lot of people there.
Right.
Bring medicine and kind of help those villages. Really awesome story arcs, especially in the New 52 and right before the New 52. And this kid, he's playing that super neurotic and almost dumb. And like, I was left in charge of this by Alfred when everybody abandoned the mansion. I was left here to watch things because obviously the Batcave is below. But I don't know how any of it works. And I don't know what any of this is. I just know it's here. So, and that just doesn't feel like his character. And
Right.
there was something in the second episode where he suddenly was able to use the computer. And he was like, oh, right. It was kind of like that 90s hacker thing, like, I'm in, kind of like stupid. And I'm like, God, like, this is to me, he's an important character because Lucius Fox is a very important character.
Right.
And if you're going to do This, do it right.
Well, and his son is in the comics as well. His son is
Well, right.
arguably almost just as an important character.
He's a genius. He came back from being in the military, and he wanted to be a doctor and all this, fun stuff. And they also have those lines that are very like feminist in the wrong way, where it's like we're putting this in here just, I don't know, to make a hashtag out of it or something. You know what I mean? And
I do.
And I don't mean that to offend. I just mean that, like, they had a line where she was like, "That's the bat suit," and he was like, "Yeah, it's perfect the way it is. That it's been my father designed it." And she goes, "It will be perfect once it can fit a woman." And I'm like, "All right, like, we get it. Yeah. You're strong, and I'm behind you 100%." But you know what I mean? It just felt like a slap in the face to real feminists. I don't know.
Oh, well.
It felt stupid.
There's a rule that I've come up with over the past few years, binge watching shows and things like that. Give yourself 5 episodes. See if they can make it develop. There's a lot of shows. I look back now, if I would have gave up after the first 2, I'd have missed out on great shows.
Well,
Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad.
You weren't in on Sons of Anarchy after the first couple episodes?
No, the first season was pretty slow. It took me about 3 or 4.
Okay, fair enough.
But I understand
Breaking Bad
that
too. I was right in the first episode.
But I fully acknowledge that with shows, and I pay attention
right.
too, because I'm like, look, there's a pilot, there's the follow up, and then by 3, 4, and 5, they should be getting their stride if this is worth something.
Well, I try to give things an entire season, depending on how long the season is.
Right.
With these CW shows, they're like typically 23 or 24 episodes a piece. So I won't give it that whole season, but I will give it an appropriate like 10 or 12 episodes. That's what I try to shoot for.
Cotton.
And they have every chance to make it work, and I really hope that they do, because Batwoman is a really cool character who I would love see. And if they can be as smart as Titans and figure out how to rope in, actual Batman and actual things, if they're, did you hear? I didn't even write this in the news. Did you hear the Titans are now apparently confirmed to have a cameo appearance in the Crisis event? DC's Titans.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
is that true? I always heard that was a rumor.
Yeah, it was said to be. It was a rumor back a couple months ago, and it was said to be false. And then they had set photos where it's just a cameo, but a big cataclysmic event kind of strikes through all of the different
So that means it'll probably be in Titans on DC Universe. I bet you they'll have an episode.
No, I don't think it will be.
No?
But it is a shot of them basically in Titan's Tower, standing at the windows looking out and up at the sky.
So it'll probably be like Deadpool 2, where he's like, why is there nobody in this mansion? And then they open the door, and then you see all of them in the other room for a split second. You see McAvoy.
It'll be very fast. It'll be a quick cameo.
Yeah,
same that a lot of things that we're getting all excited about will also be very fast cameos.
And that's fair, but I respect the grandness of what they're going for.
Oh, for sure.
Crossover.
Yeah, me too.
But I will say, I just want it to happen and be over with. I'm sick of hearing about it. And I don't mean it in a negative way. It's just we've been hearing about it so long. I had to ask you last week. I was like, is it? When is it going to happen?
I'm not wanting it to be over with, but I just want it to be here. Like I want. This is something I'm actually excited for. I want it to happen already, so I can just see what the hell it's going to look like.
It is fun to see every week when they're like, hey, this just in, Jared Leto's Joker got murdered in the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and everybody's like, yeah, like it's just a new thing every week, and it's just more obscure and just
again,
crazy.
I feel like we see so much about it, but none of us have any idea what this is going to look like.
Yeah. And you're right, it's probably going to be a lot of just quick.
And I think
cameos.
With my obsession with the comics itself, like the things that are happening in the books always kind of sway my my idea of what this, what might happen in the shows and movies will look like. But I don't know. I'm excited. By the way, we haven't talked about this in a while. The new Arkham game is apparently going to be called Arkham Legacy. And as we know, it is going to have the Court of Owls in it. But it also came out this week that we are supposed to be able to play as the entire Bat family throughout the game. Now, I should stress, it is the entire Bat family, since this is a prequel game, that has been established up until that point. So most likely, we are not even going to get Nightwing. We're probably going to get Robin. If we do get Nightwing, there will be the second Robin there. Maybe Jason Todd is already Robin at this point. And Batgirl will most likely be what we get.
Well, you got to figure in Arkham City, we already had Nightwing and
Tim Drake.
Tim,
yeah.
So they were already
and
on
he
their
was
third.
like a grown Tim Drake.
Yeah, and I love that shaved head,
He looked really badass, yeah.
Yeah, he was
He was freaky, man.
And that was in City. So
Right.
I'm going to assume because the
No,
events
that was
of
in Night.
No. In Arkham City, they were there as well.
I don't remember Tim Drake being in City.
Yes.
Really?
He got introduced in Arkham City. Yeah.
Ooh. I need to play that game again.
So the events of Arkham City took place, shortly after Arkham Asylum. So I'm just going to
right.
assume that Nightwing probably existed during Arkham Asylum.
Sure, yeah.
So
go for that.
I'm just trying to hold out hope, like with a prequel, because I 100% get what you're saying. I'm like, okay, what if they push like the bounds of prequel all the way as far as they can?
So again,
right?
the one thing that the New 52 did for comics, one of the few things that kind of fucked up about Batman, and I want to say, Green Arrow was this. Maybe not Green Arrow. There was another character, I can't remember who it was, but it tried to condense. They wanted to keep so much of the history, and they tried to condense it within a 5 or 6 year period. It was 5. It was 5 years between the 0 year and where they were, which means that the age difference between the Robins suddenly became much closer. It all happened very quickly. You know what I mean? And it's possible, but it didn't feel. And I think that's kind of what they went for in the Arkham games.
Yep.
Was that everything was much closer together. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because if we're talking realistically, a lot of stuff. Can you think about in your own life how much stuff happens in a year?
Well, I was also thrown for a loop too, because apologies to anybody on our page when I posted the Arkham Court screenshot. I must have just fell for some bait, because they said that was at New York Comic Con where they took the photo where it looked like they had revealed the logo for the new game being called Arkham Court. And if it's Arkham Legacy, then obviously I posted something that was just fake.
I don't remember you doing that. I remember that they did have the big.
The symbols.
They did
and all
reveal
that.
the symbols at New York Comic Con and stuff.
So my point being is when I thought it was called Arkham Court, I was definitely on the whole it's a prequel train, right?
Right.
Because that's what we're being told.
No, it's still a
Court of
prequel.
Owls.
Yeah, it is.
We're still going, like, they haven't said anything. WB Montreal has not said a word. So when the game title, if it's actually Arkham Legacy, I still think it's a prequel, but part of me is starting to go, maybe it's not.
I thought that's the deal, is that WB Montreal gets prequel games.
Oh, okay.
And then Rocksteady does current Arkham.
Yeah, but that was until Rocksteady was done with their trilogy, so we don't know. It could have changed.
I guess that's true.
Because when it said it was called Legacy, and then they're talking about the whole Bat family, I'm like, this might be like something...
Wouldn't it be wild
After.
if we did have like 6 or 7 different Bat family members?
Yeah, but
to
how
play
how
as?
cool would that be, though? Because then you could have them all. You could,
Uh-huh.
like, for me, of course, you'd have Red Hood, so I'm ecstatic. But how cool would it be
would-
just for the story
Well,
to
and
show that the court takes place at the end?
Right.
instead
That
of the
that was
beginning?
kind of my idea, was that, well, we can't play. So if it is the Red Hood, obviously it has to be not well after, but it has to be after City. Yeah, or I'm sorry, after Night.
Yeah.
Because that's when we got introduced to the Red Hood.
Yeah.
But if it is so let's say they had one prequel game, which was Origins, and then they have Legacy, which is like a wrap up, an
Right.
end. That would mean that we could get Batwoman, we could
Get 'em all.
get Signal, we could get Huntress, we could get a lot of those characters.
Damian.
I wonder
There
if they
was
would...
always the rumor that the game was about Damian Wayne. That has been the rumor from
Oh,
the
for
beginning.
sure. Well, again, we not only did they reveal the Court of Owls symbol, but the Demon Head. So we know Ra's al Ghul is going to be a part of this third one.
I'm starting to toy with the idea more that it's not a prequel.
If it's called Legacy, I wouldn't doubt that it is just like you're saying, not a prequel, and it going to introduce Damian Wayne.
That's what, like, I was
Ooh, that could
so
be really
on board
cool.
with the prequel until they said, oh, the game's called Legacy, and I said, it's not a prequel.
And if you think about it, the Court of Owls in the book in the New 52 didn't come until well after all of this history had been established.
Right.
You know, or they had always been there, but he didn't find out about the Court of Owls.
Yeah, because, I mean, how
was the
cool would that
greatest
be
mystery.
to play off all the events of the Arkham games? Just think of it
Right.
like that. Like, the court was there from the beginning. The court was there when he first met Joker, when he beat Bane, and then all the way to Knight when he took down Arkham Knight.
The more you talk about it, the less I want it to be any kind of prequel. I would love that idea of it being after.
And then
fact.
once you said they had prequel rights, I was like, well, that was before Rocksteady completed their trilogy. So, who knows? I'm probably 100% wrong, but...
that's crazy.
Guys,
that'd
if
be
you
really
like
neat.
the idea, you heard it here first.
So, Matt, tell me what you thought about the Bloodshot trailer.
I probably couldn't rave about it more. But I thought it was great. I'm a sucker for Vin Diesel. I know he doesn't always do the best work, but Pitch Black, Riddick, Chronicles of Riddick. I'm a huge fan of Vin Diesel.
How many times in this movie do you think they'll get him to say family?
86, but I want to know how many times that he'll just randomly get hurt.
I think he gets paid per every time he says family.
I want to know, do you think by the last frame of the movie, will he have his classic look in any regard?
The white skin.
Do you think maybe he'll, what's the word I'm looking for? Go Super Saiyan or something like that, like where he'll charge up and turn white?
I don't know. I'm not a huge Bloodshot. I never read Bloodshot.
But you know his classic look.
Yes, I know the classic look. I will say McFarlane Toys just announced through Diamond Distributors. We just got a preview of their new Bloodshot toy, and he's pitch white.
Yeah.
So,
There's a quick frame in the trailer where he has all black eyes.
Right.
And I'm thinking there's going to be a point. I don't think he'll ever permanently be all white, but I think he'll turn white.
I don't know why his character was always white, though. I don't know why in the books he was white. I don't know enough about the character.
I can't speak on
I
it.
I will say the trailer was impressive, much more impressive than I was expecting.
I think it's just going to be one of those fun action movies. I don't think it's going to be like a Christopher Nolan blockbuster.
Yeah, it's not from a studio you would really expect. It's not like Marvel. It's not DC.
I had no idea Guy Pearce was in it. I was just like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty on board for this. I think it looks really good.
I think it'd be great.
And again, he needs to step out of Fast and Furious for a little bit.
They confirmed they're doing a new Riddick as well. So
a new Riddick, and they just had some news about Fast 9 come out and all this craziness. And I'm sorry, by the way, guys, if I'm sniffling a lot. My sinuses have been fucked.
Yeah.
And I can't stop sniffling.
I've been sick for a week, too, so if I sound like Barry White and I'm getting you to feel a certain way, call me after the show.
That's so funny. I was about to say, I just thought of Barry White.
Can't get enough of your love, baby.
Oh,
sorry.
Speaking of trailers, man.
You live in one?
What?
Sorry.
Don't talk about my childhood like that.
Hey, man, I ain't talking about your childhood.
You
live in Sunnyvale. What's up?
Hey, The Rise of Skywalker had a new trailer come out since the last show we did.
I thought you said The Rice of Skywalker.
Yeah, The Rice. It's very white.
That's racist.
It's the most white rice that you could possibly get. No, man.
I haven't watched the final trailer.
You haven't watched what the fuck? We do a podcast and you haven't watched the final trailer?
Excuse me. First of all, back up about 3 parsecs.
Eat my ass. It was outstanding, Matt.
No.
I will say that you should watch it. There's a lot to digest. I'm going to talk about it a little, so spoilers, I guess, for this trailer. But
spoilers for this trailer.
To Matt, who hasn't seen it, I'm sure the rest of you who are listening have seen it.
I'm going to walk away.
But no, there was a lot. It showed not definitely, but you did get a little glimpse of what we all expect to be Palpatine.
I saw that in the first trailer.
No, like it showed him in a chair coming down, like descending.
And it looked like he was in a little mech chair, like it was like. Wah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I have seen this trailer then.
We saw a lot more of Rey, really impressive things. Rey and Kylo Ren kind of fighting it out, and what looked to be like the interior of the original Death Star. Like it was very clean and white. Like you remember when right before Han Solo gets put in carbonite, how like clean and white and everything the holes were.
And they have like what looks like a team up moment, just like in The Last Jedi.
No, they were fighting and they knocked down this like statue with their lightsabers, and it looked like the pedestal. To me, it looked like somebody was disagreeing with me on this. To me, it looked like that pedestal that he kept Vader's charred helmet on.
Oh, okay.
It looked like they destroyed that in their fighting.
That ashtray he had in.
Yeah,
Force
the
Awakens.
ashtray. Just a lot of stuff to kind of process in this trailer. Very cool. I'm very excited.
I've already got tickets to see it.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You got the pre-order tickets and stuff?
Yeah.
Through your AMCs?
We got like nine seats.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be really neat. But yeah, you got to watch that trailer, man.
I'll just go see the movie.
That's
J.J.
fair.
Abrams is going to do it. I have faith. I like
Yeah.
J.J. a lot.
I
I
have
was
nothing.
a big fan of The Force Awakens. So.
I have nothing but faith in J.J. Abrams. I think he's a fantastic filmmaker.
I know a lot of people are scared because many didn't like The Last Jedi, and I can understand that. But I think he's gonna find a clever way to make it all work. Like I think everyone's like, you can't fix that, and I'm like, just wait.
They just
watch.
confirmed, speaking of that Rian Johnson, who ruined the last movie, that his trailer or his 3-movie, what's it called?
Deal.
A threequel, I guess. His tricycle. His 3 movies are officially like they're in the works now. Like he's getting
For what?
Huh?
Star Wars?
Yeah, he has a 3-movie Star Wars spinoff.
Oh God.
It's gonna
why?
be away from the which if he has 3 movies to himself and he doesn't spend an entire movie trying to fuck over J.J. Abrams, maybe it'll be good. You know what I mean? But
I think it's gonna get shit canned just because people are gonna be so petty over the last.
I don't
Jedi.
know.
But I know the Game of Thrones guys got 3 movies also, so
Yes.
they'll probably kill it. I think that's why the last season of Game of Thrones sucked so bad because they're like, yo, you get a trilogy for Star Wars. Here's $18 gajillion, and they're like, okay, let's wrap this up.
well, that's interesting you bring that up because HBO, who had Game of Thrones, HBO also just announced that they are not necessarily reviving, but I think it's going to be specials or like a mini series, like a certain part mini series of something you are not going to care about. But me and a bunch of other people who love to get high and watch really stupid adult cartoons, Adventure Time is being revived by
The Bat in the Hat podcast does not condone any use of medical and or recreational marijuana.
the that's funny.
It's true.
It's not true. We condone
Don't say we.
every
Don't
kind
say
of
we.
drug use.
Don't say
don't
we.
do drugs, kids. The
Without sharing.
yeah, without sharing is caring. I really hope there's no kids listening to this podcast. Every time I hand one of our cards out, I always say, "Don't let your kids listen," because I swear a lot.
I usually take them back. Like, I hand them to people, and they're like, thanks. I'm like, no, give me that. Never mind.
You know what? I don't want you to listen to this podcast.
Go check out Superpower Beatdown.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that. I love Bat in the Sun.
So let's not talk
I don't want to promote them on our. Yeah, I do. They just had a new one come out, and they're really fantastic. Go check out Bat in the Sun on YouTube. By the way,
Killmonger versus Flashpoint Batman.
that was cool.
Probably
man.
one of their best they've ever
Yeah.
done.
I just rewatched Batman versus Deadpool and Batman versus Vader.
They're all good.
Wolverine versus Predator was awesome.
Yeah.
Darth Maul versus Spider-Man. That
Red
was a
Hood
good
versus Punisher.
one. Which one?
Red Hood versus Punisher.
Oh, Red Hood versus Punisher. Yeah. That was-
Nightwing versus Winter Soldier.
Yep, that was an awesome one. Love
Anyways,
that.
let's talk about our podcast.
Kick-Ass versus Casey Jones. That was a good
Ooh,
one.
That was a good one, too.
Yeah, sorry. Go check out Bat in the Sun on
Scorpion
YouTube. They're really
versus
fantastic.
White Ranger. Oh, these are all live action, by the way.
Anyways, yeah, Adventure Time is getting a kind of revive on HBO, which leads me to wonder. It was already one of those cartoons that was like, it was a cartoon on Cartoon Network, but they had a lot of really fucked up jokes in there, like adult, like they really slipped in a lot of nasty shit. And I'm wondering if HBO is now going to make it an adult cartoon, because that's kind of almost what it feels purposed for.
What was it on before? Cartoon Network?
It was on Cartoon Network,
But
but
so it was like on Adult Swim?
it was no, it was on Cartoon Network. It was it was
wow.
a kids show, but it was kind of like the Looney Tunes. How the Looney Tunes would pack in a bunch of jokes only the adults would understand. You know.
So HBO is probably just going to let it be unhinged and just...
Oh, speaking of you, not speaking of, but you posted a rumor to the Facebook page that I want to talk about. A rumor that Joker 2 is already in the works because of the success of the first movie.
Oh, I mean, I don't think it's true at all.
I don't think it's true
I was
either.
trying to stir some controversy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Some of these sites like Joe Blow Films or whatever they call themselves, Joe Blow News or Joe Blow Movies, always fucking fake news, man. Like it's the idea that this movie is, granted, very successful already.
It's the highest grossing R-rated movie of
Yeah,
all time.
just became the highest grossing R-rated.
Congratulations to them. That's a hell of a accomplishment. To not
Yeah.
be Deadpool.
Absolutely. It's a great movie, but the idea that it's still in the theaters and they already decided, which it's not. I don't want to sound ignorant. It happens all the time, I guess, but this movie is meant to be a standalone. They've said it time and time again. We want it to be what it is.
Yeah.
they're not gonna. Well, maybe.
I was
Fuck.
gonna say let's not be.
Yeah, I don't
Let's
want to.
not be oblivious and say
Yeah.
Warner Brothers wouldn't be like, holy
I
crap,
was
make
just
another one of these.
Just God, you read my mind. I don't
Yeah.
want to sound ignorant because the minute they see dollar signs, maybe they would. You know.
Do you? They probably in a million years did not think that was gonna be as successful as it was.
You know what?
Hell, I didn't even. Think
I
it
don't
would
want to be an asshole, but I feel like I knew it from day one. Like, maybe not that I knew it, but I knew that I would love it from day one. And I'm very happy that it lived up to my
I
expectations.
figured it'd be good, but it's even surprising me, like seeing the updates every single day that they're just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna probably make $1 billion in its whole freaking run.
We do have some sad news. The Last of Us 2 was delayed from February to May 29th of 2020.
I stopped actually acknowledging that it's gonna happen
Really? Why?
because it's just been so long.
Yeah,
They've
but
been
the
talking about it
trailers
for
they've given us have been
ever.
so good.
Yeah, but it's just gonna keep getting delayed. So I'm just.
And I got to tell you, that is one of the most prolific games I think I've ever played. I love...
Speaking of prolific, the new Call of Duty came out today, bruh.
But does it have a battle royale mode?
I don't know, dude.
And does it
but
have
I'm gonna
a
get some-
zombies mode or a zombies battle royale mode, or does it have a Fortnite mode?
I don't know, bro. But we're gonna get Code Red and Baja Blast, and we're gonna rage it until 6 a.m.
Do you remember when they had I don't know if they still do this. Mountain Dew had gamer fuel or game fuel.
I used to get it when all the Halos would come.
Yeah, the orange game fuel. Halo 3. I specifically remember when Halo 3 came out, had the best flavor of game fuel.
I will say that this Call of Duty looks like it might be the first good one since the good ones, which was years ago.
I miss the ones that were set in World War II, to be honest. I would love for
Well,
them to
this
do
one
another
is
of
like,
those.
from what I understand, I don't want to say it's definitely not a remaster. I think it's like a soft remake of the first Modern Warfare.
Yes,
It's called
yeah.
Modern Warfare because I know it's got Soap McTavish. And,
Which one is this called?
Modern Warfare.
This is called
It's
Modern
just
Warfare?
called Modern Warfare. And
They-
it's got the OG characters.
They
from
had
the
a game
original.
that was already Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're just putting out the same title?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Is this the one or is it a different game? John Bernthal was
That's Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon. That's right. That looked really good.
It's not.
You saw that trailer for that?
Yeah, the game's not good.
Is it not?
No.
Have you played it already?
Yes.
Oh wow.
The one before it was okay. But this
Those were
Ghost
really big
Recon
when
is
I
not
was a
good.
kid, and I still played like video games like that.
Yep. I'm just waiting for Death Stranding. I don't know if you're the one with Norman Reedus.
Yes.
from
Oh, yeah.
Hideo Kojima.
Isn't that another zombie game?
Well, I don't know what it is. It's just so obscure. Like, I mean, he did the Metal Gear series.
The
and you know how
trailer
obscure
looked
that is.
The trailer looked amazing.
Well,
though,
the
for Death
trailer is
Stranding.
confusing, and then watch the gameplay, and I mean, he's always big on his stories are so abstract. I just don't know what to expect. But
Speaking of John Bernthal, he just said that he has absolutely no desire to stop playing the Punisher anytime soon, and there's a lot of talks that his Punisher, as well as what's his name, Homeboy's Daredevil,
Charlie Cox,
and Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin are going to all be brought into the MCU.
I should.
That's that's now become not just hope and rumor, but very strong talks that might be the case. And he said, I have no desire to get off of this idea anytime soon.
And I don't mean to sound a certain way, but it'll probably come across that way. But D'Onofrio and Bernthal, and in my opinion, Cox, but let's just be real. Those are like A and B list actors, dude. Like, it's not like they're nobodies. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
Bring them in. Bring them into the MCU.
Okay, I can see what you mean.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Charlie,
in my
Charlie
opinion,
Cox is only maybe in that arena because of Daredevil.
well, I was gonna say, if I'm just judging him off of Daredevil, I think he's an A-list
yes.
guy.
Yes. Yes, I know what you're saying. Vincent D'Onofrio, as well as John Bernthal, have a resume
They're known.
before, and they have an impressive resume.
Yeah.
Especially D'Onofrio.
And that's what I'm saying. Just bring him in, dude. Just
I was surprised that D'Onofrio was going to be in Daredevil at all.
I'm so glad he was. He was
Yeah.
fantastic.
I will say that all three of those roles, regardless of how you feel about the rest of the Marvel Netflix world, they were born to play those roles.
Yeah. The other
John
ones-
Bernthal is a perfect Punisher. Charlie Cox, to me, when I now read Daredevil, the Chip Zdarsky run that's going on right now, I read it like it's Charlie Cox, and it works so well. And the same with D'Onofrio. When I'm reading Kingpin, I'm hearing it in that voice he does, and it just matches, man.
Yep. And not to sound mean, but if the other ones were to just get scrapped, so be it. But those three need to.
You know, the only one I still really would love to continue, as well as I just want a resolution,
Luke Cage
is Luke Cage, man. It left on such a note of he became the kind of kingpin of Harlem. You know, he said, well, if I can't stop crime, I'm going to control it. And that's how it ended the second season. And again, it was a really good season. Mike Coulter fits that role really well. I think he would age out of it after not super long because he seems kind of older. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. But he fits the role really well. It was done really well. But yes, if they all dropped off except for just the Daredevil characters, and let's just talk real quick about the supporting cast in those. Karen and Foggy, those roles were expertly done. Not only were they written perfectly, but they had enough time to flesh out both of those characters.
I remember thinking Foggy was so cheesy when the show started, and then by the end, I'm like, he's so important. But Deborah Ann Wall,
well, because they made him goofy around them, but they also showed very quickly, like halfway through the first season, he's a badass lawyer.
Oh yeah,
he was not afraid to stand up to people, and that was important for his character. I just thought that was fantastic. And we really got, just like you said, Deborah Ann Wall, she really took Karen and made her important. And especially through Punisher, I thought, wow, she did a great job transitioning TV shows and being the same character.
Yeah, how cool it was that she was so vital in both of their stories.
Right.
And I just thought that was awesome. Hell, I even liked, I was going to say Katrina Law. It's not Katrina Law, but the one that played Elektra. I didn't think I liked her at first either.
I don't remember her name, but yeah, you know what? It's so
great.
Funny. I did not like her in the first, when she first, and then I ended up thinking like, wow, you're Elektra.
Well, and then towards the end, I was so sad at the end of season 3 because I was like, I gotta see more of this because hell, even the guy that played Bullseye was so good.
The guy, oh my gosh, and they really took him and made you feel something for him. They made you feel every bit of his PTSD.
They twisted that character to, I had never thought in a million years at the end of that season, I'd say, I cannot wait to see more Bullseye.
Right. They made you feel the manipulation going on from Kingpin to him. They made you feel sorry, but they also made you feel hopeful that he was going to be as badass a villain as he turned out to be. And he was excellent, man. He was truly, truly excellent. I really hope that they end up being brought in. I think that with how vast the MCU is about to become, there's no reason it shouldn't happen. You know what I mean?
True that.
And with Ghost Rider now being Kevin Feige saying I'm bringing him, the reason that his show got canceled is I want him in the MCU. There's a street level team about to happen. We're about to get it.
Well, there's always been rumors or, loose fact that the Netflix stars, their contracts included at least 1 or 2 movie appearances. I've always heard that from the first season of Daredevil. It said something like Charlie Cox's contract was this many seasons and 2 movie appearances.
I had never heard that. That's interesting.
I'd heard that before. That's why, because they thought in Infinity War they'd start bringing them in. But then I forget who explained it. It was either Feige or somebody, but they're like, we don't have time to introduce them properly. So it would really just be a disservice.
They, I don't remember what I was thinking of. Matthew Rosenberg, who just finished writing his run on Punisher, his second run on Punisher, he did a fantastic job. He writes the Punisher amazingly. Now, I think who's taking it over is, what's his name, who wrote The Boys? You know who I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just don't know.
I can't remember his name. He wrote The Boys. Anyways, he's taken over Punisher. He's starting his run.
Wow.
And what he did so well was the Avengers went after the Punisher, and it happened time and time again. They kept going after him and kept cornering him, and he kept making it out. If we could get one of those movies where the Punisher keeps getting cornered, but he's in a very fuck it kind of stage, and he's just crafty as hell, I would love that.
The Punisher's always the most dangerous when you back him against the wall.
Well, and that's exactly kind of what they showed, is he at some point he just has nothing to lose, and he's willing to take these crazy risks, and it seems to work out.
That's always the best part of his characters, because like what you just said, he literally has nothing to lose, and he makes no new attachments. He has no new love interest. Right. He's like, dude, I'm ready to die. I've been ready to die for a long time. So.
And speaking of Marvel Netflix shows and Marvel shows in general getting canceled, Marvel has been canceling shows left and right, even outside of Netflix now. Everything that was Marvel television is now being canceled. The only things that are sticking around is the stuff that they just announced that's going to be run by Marvel Studios. And the latest to get the axe is Cloak and Dagger on Freeform. It's getting canceled after its second season. I never watched it. Good riddance. Couldn't really care. I heard it was good, though.
Bye-bye.
So, somebody actually said it was pretty neat. They're interesting characters. I do like Cloak and Dagger. And I think that I was going to start watching it when I had the time. I'm probably not now because
I only know him from Maximum Carnage.
if they went 4 or 5 seasons, maybe I'd binge it, but they're getting cut off on their heels. So
They're just trying to clean up for Disney Plus. Disney Plus about to drop. So
yeah,
they're just
not
like,
only
let's
that,
clean
but
all
again
that
with
up.
the shift in Kevin Feige's like promotion and what division is going to run what now, they want to clean up and make sure that the lines are not blurred. Who's doing what jobs are whose, and what they're putting out. And Feige has a plan, I think. He knows what he wants to do. And it could be good. But that's all the news I got, man. We just like last week, we're going to continue our trend, and Matt has a review for us. What are you reviewing this week, Matt?
I am reviewing Rambo, Last Blood.
45th Blood.
Yep.
70-year-old blood.
Oh, yeah. So I know what you're thinking. Rambo on the Bat in the Hat? That's weird.
I think it's a solid choice, though. I'm ready.
So my goal with the reviews is I know our bread and butter is comic book, related things. We obviously like that a lot.
But, Matt, I want to hear about more movies than just comic book stuff.
I'm trying to expand the brand.
I don't understand. I mean, I don't go to see Rambo in the theater, so it's up to you to tell me what Rambo was about, Matt.
That's hot. Anyways, I'm trying to expand the brand, But no, my point for the reviews is I want to do different things. I want to do different movies. Games is going to be a huge one because we're going to go through a huge season of new releases of great games.
Yeah, a lot of good
We're
stuff
about to
coming
turn to a new generation of consoles soon, so I can't wait for all that. But so I'm going to start off with Rambo. Last Blood.
Well, you technically started off with Joker, but
I want to follow up with Rambo. Last Blood. So, anyways, so let's just jump right into it. So, I saw this a few weeks ago. It's a little late, so it's been out a little while. It's not like this is a fresh review. The Joker craze is kind of taken over for the
we
past
had
couple
to
weeks.
talk about Joker.
Had to do that
Yeah.
first. And I told you I wanted to talk about Ad Astra as well, but
Ad Astra.
Brad Pitt, Interstellar. But I wanted to start here. So, Rambo, to sum it up, just a quick little, my initial thought, so this movie was directed by Adrian Grunberg, and he definitely saw Logan. And I'm going to see if you know what I mean by that, because that's the tone of this movie.
Okay.
Like, it's this is the last outing. Logan was cool as hell because it completely changed the vibe of the franchise. For this character.
Minimal dialogue, a lot of
kind of dark.
yeah.
He's old. This is, emotional kind of thing. So, and I didn't see it as a bad thing. It just seemed more like inspiration. Like, it was like, hey, it worked with, Logan. Let's try it with Rambo. That's literally what I thought, and it kind of worked. So, just a quick little backstory. So, have you seen any of the other Rambos?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Did you watch the most recent one before this one, where he's in Burma?
I
He's old.
I want to say yes. That was the one that was just called Rambo.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one takes place 11 years after the events of that one, right?
Okay.
So this one actually takes place at the OG Rambo ranch.
Right,
From
yeah.
the very first movie. It's his dad's ranch. Like, it's the first time he's been I think it's the first time he's been back in the States since the first movie, because in the rest of them, he just does all this crazy stuff. So we're going to jump into this.
Didn't you binge watch the Rambo movies?
I did, yeah.
Before you went to go see this?
Yeah, so I'd seen a few of them. And I watched the first 4 in succession right before. So I was pretty excited. Guys, I'm not going to lie. The first 3 Rambos, the original ones, I want to say they didn't age well. I just don't think they're good movies.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I do not think they're good. One thing I will say, this is my biggest takeaway, and this is huge. One of my favorite movies of all time is Predator.
Right.
Predator I thought directly ripped off a Rambo 2 in so many regards.
Wait, which one came first?
Rambo 2.
Oh, so Predator
I had to double
2,
check. I was like, wait a second.
Predator 2 basically took Rambo.
No,
Or
Predator 1, yeah.
basically took Rambo 2 and
I'm
added
telling you,
Predator.
dude, coming from a person who's seen Predator like 1,000 times, I was like,
Right.
my first thought was, well, Predator came first. This one. And then I was like, no, let me check the dates here because Sly's pretty young.
Right.
And no, Rambo 2 definitely came first. And I'm like, damn, y'all straight ripped off Rambo 2. This is crazy.
For sure.
But anyways, let's jump into Last Blood. So I wrote a pretty decent review on this one, and let's just talk about it a little bit. So what I had mentioned is that this is the final outing of the PTSD-toting ex-soldier, John Rambo.
Fuck yeah.
That sounds funny, but it's essentially true. Like, that's just kind of what it is. They set that up from the beginning. He's back in the U.S. for like the first time since the original movie. So the other ones, he's been in Burma. He's been in, take your pick, BFE, wherever. This is 11 years after the last film where he was in Burma. So this one leaves him at the original Rambo ranch. This is his dad's ranch. His dad's dead. So he's essentially inherited it. And this one, so it starts off when he's there. He's with a woman and her daughter. And it takes a minute to realize who they are. You're
Like, is he living there?
yeah,
like,
yeah, they're all
peacefully?
living together.
Okay.
Yes, they're all living together. It's like a ranch. They got the horses. They're all hanging out, having a good time.
Do they have the horses in the back?
Yeah, and the horse stock is attached.
Oh,
But
sweet.
so it takes a minute to figure it out. I even had to go back and try to figure this out. But the woman that he lives with, her name's Maria. She's just a friend of his. Like, there's this movie, like you had said, I don't want to say little dialogue, but a lot of it's just left to the imagination. They don't hold your hand through the whole thing. So he's living with this woman, Maria, and she has a daughter named Gabriella. So Gabriella becomes essentially John Rambo's adopted daughter. He treats her like his own daughter. So they're living a happy life. He's left the whole, I'm a ragged soldier behind me. He's enjoying his life. And to sum up the plot, essentially Gabriella one day is like, I want to know who my real dad is. And this is where the story starts to kick in, and Rambo's like, no, you don't. So you're like, okay, well, who's her dad? Is he?
Oh, so he knows who her dad is.
Yeah. And she's like, I just want to know, because she's like 20 something years old.
It's one of the other Expendables.
Exactly. So
It's Chuck Norris.
yeah. So she's like, I want to know who my dad is, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, don't. Your dad wasn't a good guy then. He's not a good guy now, blah, 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 blah. So and I'm not really going to skip past a lot because this is truly what happens. It just takes a little while to get there. But essentially, defying John's wishes, she finds her dad. He's in Mexico City. She goes down there with a friend and, just kind of sneaks down there to go find him. And this part,
how old is this girl?
she's like 21.
Oh, so she's not a child.
Well, no. She's maybe younger than 21.
I'm
like
picturing
18,
a
19.
child.
No.
Okay.
She's older. She's actually, I think she was about to go to college. Now that I remember.
So her and her friend go down to Cabo for spring break.
Yeah, so her friend was like, her friend was randomly like, oh, we tracked him down. We know where it is. So they go down there.
So let me ask you before you move on.
Yeah.
Logan had a relatively low body count for most of the movie. There was definitely some spurts of violence and action, but I would say Logan had a relatively low body count. Does Rambo, are we getting through most of this movie with low body count?
So where I've gotten to at this point, there's been zero action. Overall.
And how far are we into the movie time-wise?
Probably about 25 minutes.
Okay, so not long.
Relatively, maybe a quarter almost.
Okay.
It takes a while to get going. It's
Sure.
one of those that starts a little slow.
Yeah.
And then once it gets going, it gets going. But without kind of going too far, there's spurts in this one, like you said. That's
Right,
the best
yeah.
way to describe it. So anyway, she takes off, goes down to Mexico to find her dad. This scene to me kind of stuck out a little bit. She finds him, right, knocks on the door. You can tell he knows who she is right off the bat.
Right.
She's like, I just kind of had to see you and see what was going on. In a nutshell, he basically says, I don't care about you or your mom. That's why I left.
And it's not somebody we know or
Nope,
somebody we're
nope,
supposed to be
nope.
like, this guy's important.
Nope, it wasn't some grand reveal. It wasn't,
Right.
like some big twist. It
Wasn't like
wasn't
some
like he's a
enemy of
drug
Rambo's.
lord.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything like that. And legit,
He's
credit
just a douche.
kudos for honesty to this guy. Because he looks her right in the face and he's like, I did not care about her. I did not care about you. I left.
Right.
And you got to go.
You know what? It's interesting because
I say kudos for honesty, but you know what I meant, right?
No,
like,
I know what you're
like,
saying. Like they wrote it very honest.
Yeah,
and he was very straight up. But the I always find it interesting because I grew up with both parents. Right, they were split up for my entire life, but I grew up with both parents, so I've never been able to relate to the kids who grew up not knowing a parent. And so I think from that outsider's perspective, like I've always seen kids who are like, well, I want to go find this, and I'm like.
It's like, really?
Do you really want to?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure that there's got to be a thing pulling you, saying I gotta know for sure. But like, I really do subscribe by that idea. Like, if this person wanted to be a part of your life, they would have made it happen at some point. And I'm not saying, look, I'm not at all saying that there's not a million reasons people give up kids for adoption and can't, you know what I mean, and can't be in their lives. I'm just saying that it's got to be such a hard thing to like decide on, going to meet somebody who is never now at 20 something years of age. This person's never tried to get in contact with you, or they either gave you up or they walked out. And I think knowing the situation beforehand, obviously there's a big difference between like a parent who walks out and somebody who gives you up for adoption. Obviously two very different situations.
Yeah.
So situationally that could mean, or that could make a lot of decisions for you. But we're talking now like a dad who walked out, right? A girl who didn't know her dad.
Clear. Yeah.
And it's very like really? Like, you want to go find the person who left and never tried to like get in contact with you again?
Well, I'm glad you brought this up because this was also a very big part of the first part of the movie that I wouldn't have by default brought up. But as she's saying it, it's very clear that Rambo has been raising her and loves her, like loves her deeply, like his own child.
Was she at all in the? So you said this?
No. These are new characters.
But this is only 11 years after the last movie, so maybe he's only known her since then.
Well, yeah, they're implying that like Maria's his friend, so maybe he met her when he came back from Burma.
They're not having relations. They're not sexing it, right?
No,
okay,
definitely just friends. But no, I'm glad you brought that up because like every time she brings it up, you can. And kudos to Stallone on this. You can tell he's like heartbroken by it a little bit.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm your dad.
Right. Am I not enough for you?
But
yeah.
In a weird way, he's still not supportive, but he's just like, he's looking out for her number one. Like, he's just like, no, I don't want you to do that because it's just going to hurt you kind of thing.
And just like big shout out to step parents out there who like stick around in kids' lives and like help raise. Like my best friend, his name is Keegan. He, Mark, his father has been around since he was a kid, and he had Keegan's brother with his mom. So, like, to me, Mark has always been, and I'm sure to him, that's dad, and just big shout out to like people who, men and women, who enter into those situations and stick around and help raise them, because it's a tough thing all around.
Right.
And then to have that kid be like, well, I want to know it's like,
like, I get the curiosity, but at the same time,
100%, yeah.
I could see my heart being shattered into a million pieces. Like, if you devote all of your love and attention and care for this child, and then, and I don't think they mean it in a negative way, but they're just like, they're curious.
It'd be impossible not to wonder where you came from or what kind of person this was.
Right.
Even if you know in your heart they're a piece of shit or, whatnot, it's got to be impossible not to just want to know.
Sure.
At the end of the day. And so I could see where Stallone... Now, was he portraying that well enough? Was it really coming across like he was not over... You know what I mean by overacting? He wasn't...
No, I gotta say, one of the takeaways I had when I left the theater was old Stallone is good.
Yeah, his
like,
performances have been really phenomenal.
Like,
I'm a big
I've
fan
seen
of
all
Creed
the
and
Expendables and everything, and he's just he's playing a very generic role in those. But
that's almost meant to be a cheesy action star, though.
He was really good in this movie.
Again, I was blown away by him in Creed. I thought, like the first Creed, I thought it was phenomenal.
There's a scene in this movie that I'll touch on in a little bit, and I'll really drive home just how good I thought Old Man Sly was. Like, arguably some of his best stuff. But yeah, so and my parents have been together my whole life. I've been very fortunate. So, like I can't really relate to that specifically. But
look at you, you big ball of privilege.
Right. Yeah, still waiting for one of them to kill the other. But I'm just kidding. My parents love each other.
I can't wait to see that.
So
that on
at
the
this
news.
point, yeah. So at this point in the movie, after she meets her dad, it's literally her in the doorstep, and he's like, "I don't care about you. I don't care about your mom. You got to go." You can hear he has a new family. He's like,
Right.
"Peace out, bye."
Oh no, he has a whole family.
Oh yeah, of course. You know that's how the story
I
always
know,
goes.
and that really hurts to watch.
He basically tells her, he's like, "Oh, I wasn't ready for that at the time. I didn't want it. Bye." And then she's like, she's crying, and she's all sad. Pfft, whatever. But and then
Whiner.
the movie swiftly turns into Taken at this point. The Liam Neeson starring thriller.
Oh, I know what take it is.
yeah.
She gets snatched.
Oh yeah, she gets so she goes to the club with one of her friends, and at this point you're kind of like lulled into like, all right, when's Rambo gonna start Ramboing? Like you want to see something. So she gets snatched out of this club, and she gets thrown like straight into prostitution. Like takes a quick turn.
Right.
And then you're like, did her friend set her up or whatever? You don't know. So anyways,
Did they give you hints of that?
Not really.
But
They just-
her friend was from the States with her, right?
her friend lived in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you kind of assume, but at the same time, they presented it more like it was just wrong place, wrong time.
Right.
So the movie progresses. The mother finds out that her daughter obviously hasn't been home for a while. She tells Rambo. He has a very epic, like, moment and gets in his truck.
John Bernthal,
Yeah.
like Punisher screams.
And he knows exactly where she went and blah, blah, blah. So he drives down to Mexico, and he immediately interrogates that friend that I mentioned. And it's a pretty cool scene because this is where you first get the vibe like he doesn't give a shit.
Wait, is this a female friend?
Oh,
or-
yeah. Yeah.
And he's like
He's pretty brutal.
torturing her?
Almost. But he just makes it very clear like he doesn't give a shit.
Did you
He's
feel
like,
very uncomfortable during this
No.
scene?
It was very badass because it was realistic. Like it was like if you were trying to find your child,
Right.
if somebody knew,
I want answers and I want
you
them
don't
now.
care who it is.
Yeah.
So, but he didn't kill her. He didn't maim her or anything. He was just kind of rough with her a little bit.
Was it like
It was more like a scare tactic. Like it was like a.
was it like Thomas Jane and the Punisher?
Kinda.
Where the guy was
It was pretty baller. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was pretty cool.
Okay.
So, anyways, she nonchalantly doesn't confirm she was involved, but she was like, I know who was there and I know what might have happened, kind of thing. And you go down the path of, like I said, it's like at this point, it's kind of like Taken. Like he goes back to the club.
Right,
he
it's a lot
finds
of
who took her.
investigating.
Yeah, starts beating the shit out of those guys.
Which
whatever.
I'll just put out there, the first Taken,
It's awesome.
that's the only one I've ever watched. The first Taken, fantastic.
Yeah, second one's pretty good. I never saw the third one. I heard it was an abomination. So,
Just the fact that you could try to get away with the same thing happening to a family 3 times.
what did Ryan Reynolds say in Deadpool? He goes, I had another dream about Liam Neeson. And he goes, but after 3 times, when do you just realize you're a bad parent? That's like one of the funniest things I've ever heard. But yeah, you kind of get lulled into the generic action movie vibe
Right.
at this point. Here's where it gets kind of interesting. He finds like so she's been taken by like the cartel.
Right,
So
naturally.
he gets like his guy and beats him up, gets him to take him to the cartel's
He had
house.
to connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they go to the house where there's this big party, blah, 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 blah. So you're thinking it's about to go down.
A cartel party? Mm-hmm. So it's good. Are we about to get like Scarface action? You're going to walk in and there's like a
Yeah,
pile,
there's
pile
like
of
hose
cocaine
everywhere,
on
drugs everywhere.
Yeah.
They're like in this nice freaking house.
Okay.
So you're like, all right, it's about to go down. Cool. This is it. So he's like stealthily sneaking around, blah, 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 blah. He quickly gets discovered, and there's like 40 people on him. And you're like, okay, this is either going to be the most obnoxious Rambo scene I've ever seen,
Right.
or something's going to happen. Well,
I got to ask before you go any further. What is he dressed like this whole time?
just
'Cause
normal clothes, like
when-
T-shirts and jeans.
When I picture Rambo, I see that headband,
No.
wrapped around his head, and he has the long Stallone hair from the 70s and 80s.
No.
And he, just like a plain colored tee and cargo
Yes.
pants.
Jeans. but-
Jeans?
Now, I'm telling you, think very Logan. Like, he's just old. I know Logan wore, like, a suit almost because he was, like,
Yeah.
driving a limo. But he's just, he's older.
Logan also kept that blazer on way longer than any of us would have. Like,
Yeah, but no, Rambo's just, like, chilling in, like a zip-up hoodie and some blue jeans.
Oh,
and a
really?
T-shirt. Yeah,
Okay.
he's hanging out. There's no, like, stealthy vibe
Does
or anything.
Stallone look good, or does he have awkward old man body yet?
If I looked like him at that age, I'd be very
Really?
happy.
I
I mean,
just-
you could tell he's old.
Well,
Like,
I saw
he
some
looks very
promo
old.
art of, And you got to wonder if it's just how hard they work right before shooting starts.
Could be.
Or if it is a lot of digital retouching. Because, like, I've seen pictures, we've all seen pictures of Arnold at the beach, and his tits are down to his belly button. But in a movie, he looks amazing. Like, the new stuff we saw from the Terminator, he looks really good.
Yeah.
And Stallone, when I saw some of the promotion stuff for Rambo, for this Last Blood, he looked really fucking good.
I just saw a picture his daughter put up of him and her. And he still looked jacked, and that seemed like that was like a week ago. So
well, and so that's what I'm saying. So I wonder if it's just that he's too old to be in the gym year round, you know. But before and maybe during these movies, they really hit it hard, and he gets back a lot of that physique, you know.
Probably so. But yeah, so at this point, like I said, you're getting this very like Arkham City style vibe. You're like, ooh, if I start mashing X, I can chain a combo and fight all 40 of these guys. But you're like, I know he can't because he's like 100. So is he going to blow him up or
How
what?
old is he now? He's in the 70s?
He's in the 70s.
Yeah.
But so at this point, I really was. I was like, huh, what's going to happen here? Let's just see what kind of movie we're watching. They beat the shit out of him.
Really?
He gets messed up. And I mean, like, where they actually made it seem very realistic.
Like he might die here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I'm talking swollen eyes, you know, face all messed up, just blood everywhere.
Right.
So anyways, they figure out why he came. And that he was... they figure out what his purpose was to find his adopted daughter, essentially.
Right.
So the cartel guy, and this is where they always make, you know, the villain always makes the one grave error. He says,
telling his entire plan.
Well, no, he says, "Oh, I know who she is. I'll make sure she gets treated
He says
extra
something
harshly."
really shitty like that. Yeah,
As he's like on the ground covered in blood.
Right.
So you're like, "Oh, well, that's your death wish." So he lets him live. He's like, "I want you to live to know what happens to her." And I'm like, "You're so dumb. Like if you're a true villain would just kill him."
It's
like,
so weird when you're
I
watching a
never get
movie
that.
and like everything up until this point seems like pretty plausible, pretty good. You know, maybe not 100% in the realm of reality, and then they do something like that, and you're like, never in a fucking million years would they be like, I'm gonna let you live and give you the chance to
I'm
come
sorry,
get
but
retribution.
I think like a true cartel or
Right,
villain
exactly.
or anything, there's none of that shit. Like they're just like, "Ha, that was cute. You tried."
Right.
Dead. So anyways, they let him live. This is where it turns into a random kind of movie.
Right.
Some random woman had been following him this whole time and comes to save the day.
Okay.
Again, you only saw her like at the club one time prior.
So I'm assuming. So this is like third act. We're right there.
We're about to break into it. There's
Okay.
like one key event that's about to happen.
and so the third act is really where it just gets kind of wacky. Then.
Sorta. The closing of this movie was really good, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
We got to get through this part, but so anyways, this woman, she's really not that big of a character because this was really the only purpose she served. She pretty much picked him up, took her to his place, to her place, and was like helping him heal up. So he wakes up and he's like, "Who are you?" Rambo. And she's like, "Oh yeah." And this is the one part of the movie I hated. He was so messed up, and they made him look just horribly hurt.
Right.
He was fine in a day and a half.
Okay. Fair.
So I was like, okay, well, we just got to move this along. So like he literally just like got up, face healed, everything.
That was actually one of the things we were just talking about Breaking Bad before we started recording. Mm-hmm. That was one of the things that I loved is that I remember when he got beat up by Jesse, when he got beat up by Hank. Mm-hmm. You remember?
Yeah.
His eye was swollen for like so many episodes.
Oh right.
You know what I mean? Like they kept a lot of times when people got hurt in that show, they wanted it to be like realistic, and they kept
that stuff takes forever to heal. So
yeah.
But like in this movie, I'm telling you, I was impressed because when they beat him up, I was like, that looks like he really got beat up.
Right.
And then he was just fine.
So he heals. We're about to go get the crazy Rambo scene.
Yes. So this is where I'm going to kind of paraphrase all this because I got to skip to the end, but you got to hear this part. So once he heals up, he's like, "Hey, look, you helped me out. Do you know anything about these cartel?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, they killed my sister." So, of course, there's your generic, they have a connection kind of thing. And he's like, "Well, you help me out. I just need to know how to find them." She's like, No. She does. Go figure. At this point, he goes to, this is where it's straight up taken. He goes to find where she is at like the whorehouse or whatever.
Right.
Here's your first Rambo scene. Mind you, we're like an hour into the movie at this point.
Oh, and that's what they did in Taken too. Wasn't she stolen for like?
He did the exact same thing. Remember when Liam Neeson was searching the rooms and he saw the
Right,
other girls
right.
OD'd, like Katie Cassidy and stuff?
Right.
Same thing. He storms this house, looking through all the rooms,
She's
seeing
not
these chicks
there.
that are OD'd. Mind you, he is murking everybody. So it's very
Oh, so
John.
he's
this is
killing
very
people.
John Wick-ish. Like, very cool. A lot of melee kills, a lot of gun kills. And you're like, sweet, finally.
Right.
So he finds his daughter. Let's just call her his daughter. Gets her. She's all messed up on drugs. Go figure. He gets her out. All good, right? So they leave. They're going back to the States. And, he's with her in the car. It's probably the strongest scene of the whole movie. This one was borderline a tearjerker for me. So he's sitting there, and she's kind of like fading in and out of consciousness because she's all drugged up, right? And she's, kind of thanking him for coming. He's talking to her, saying, how much important you are to me, blah, blah, blah. It's a very touching conversation.
Right.
And right, like, in the middle of all of it, he's like, hey, stay awake. I don't want you to fall asleep. And she's kind of
Right.
dozing. And boom, she dies.
She dies?
She died.
Are you fucking kidding me?
When I tell you, so I probably presented it not as much of a surprise. It was
I'm
pretty
very
much
surprised.
it was pretty much a surprise.
Yeah, I'm very
and,
surprised.
and she just dies, like, while they're having this moment.
So this whole movie is for naught.
And then he stops the car, obviously. They're in the middle of nowhere, and he has a moment. But, like, it was a very touching scene because I got to give credit to the girl that played Gabriella. She's playing,
Right.
like, cracked out of her mind, kind of coming back to, got, like, those blank stare, tears rolling. I mean, it was a very powerful scene.
Yeah, really.
It was very
good acting.
It should have not. It seemed like it wouldn't have been in that movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was very good. But you knew when this happened that all bets were off. Like, you're like, here's where Rambo starts.
Oh, so we're getting... Wait, so that's not the end? Like,
No.
It's going to get
You
weirder?
still have the last act to go.
That's not the last act?
But it kind of burns through the rest. from
Right,
here.
okay.
So they led up to that. That took about an hour, 20 minutes. Let's call the movie 2 hours.
I would have made that fucking credits right there. Just leave you sad and desolate.
Well, no, because that's when you knew. You're like, it's party time. Like, he's about to go. I
Right.
thought he was going to put the bandana on. Like,
It's a
funny you
Rambo
mentioned
movie.
that.
I get it. Yeah.
So he goes back.
Oh, he
and-
didn't put the bandana on?
No, never
Oh,
did.
man.
So he goes back to the ranch, and the mom's all excited because she knows that he got her back.
Right.
So, and this part was kind of shitty too. He jumps out of the truck really quick, and he's like, "Don't go over there."
Okay.
And she's like, "What do you mean?" And you're like, "Oh hell." And he's like, just don't go over there." And then he kind of talks to her a little bit, and then she goes over. So from here, he's like, it's like a quick resolution. They bury her on the ranch.
They turn the cross into an X.
Yep. Logan's right next to her.
Right.
And he sends the mom off. He's like, you got to go because it's about to get pretty messed up.
Okay.
So here's where it's like, I'm going to just burn through this because you'll get the point. After he sends her off, he turns his ranch into like a death fortress. Like, it's the montage of just setting traps.
I'm
and
just a little confused, though, and I
lock and
apologize. Let me
load.
ask you a quick question. He's back at Rambo Ranch?
Yeah.
How the fuck did he get back from Mexico?
They drove.
They drove all the way from Mexico with a dead girl in his car?
She died like halfway.
Oh, they were in America when she died?
They were on the road. I mean, he was going to bring her back home, so.
Okay, but you see where I'm a little confused now. So he brought her home. The mother finds out her daughter's dead. and
Well, he
they-
didn't like have a phone or anything. He
No,
probably told her.
I know. I get that. I'm just saying that she died.
There is a fair amount of
He doesn't
time
get
that
pulled over.
he was driving where she was dead. Yes.
Right. He doesn't get pulled over at all with a dead girl in his car.
Probably not.
And then he brings her home to her mother, which of course, respectfully, like I get that.
Yeah.
And then they bury her.
Yeah.
And which,
They-
by the way, what a fucking awful feeling the mom must have been so excited seeing that car roll up.
Yeah, because it was like more implied, like he was back, so she knew that he'd be back with her. kind of
Right.
thing. But yeah, no, I would assume they probably had crossed the border when she died. It was like nighttime on a back
So
road.
does he automatically think that, one, they know who he is, and two, they're coming to his ranch?
Yes, because one thing I forgot to mention is when they kicked his ass and they said the whole "we know who she is and we're gonna treat her bad,"
He
whatever.
had his wallet on him.
They took his ID.
Jesus Christ.
So, but in Rambo fashion, like that's exactly what he wanted to happen, kind of thing. So he tells the mom to go. He's like, just go. I'll get in contact with you later if I can, but I have to take care of something.
Right.
and he turns the Rambo Ranch into, like I said, just like Death Fortress 2.0. Like you see him like putting spikes in the ground, and you're like, oh, this is gonna get pretty nuts. Here's the best part, in my opinion. He takes his ass back to Mexico.
Okay.
Finds the cartel leader's brother.
Uh-huh.
And straight goes into his house, kills everybody.
Right.
Decapitates the brother.
Uh-huh.
And drops his head in the middle of the highway on the way back to Rambo Ranch as to like lead them to him.
Okay.
So he straight goes back to Mexico, slaughters everybody in this mansion.
Right.
Decapitates the OG, the main guy's brother on purpose.
Okay.
And just leaves his head on the highway. Like, it literally shows it like Jeepers Creepers style. He's driving down the highway. And
Rambo
just
Ranch has got to be in South
Oh,
Texas,
yeah. You can tell,
right?
like, it's like a few hour drive.
It can't be that far from Mexico.
No, it's...
He's not driving from Milwaukee.
No. You can tell,
or
like, it's close down there.
Okay.
But you can tell the whole point was he's like, I'm drawing them to me.
Right.
And that's exactly what happens. He goes back, and you can tell it's the grand finale. They stroll up. There's like 8-car convoy kind of thing, and without going into too much detail, it literally turns into the catacomb scene from John Wick 2.
Right. Okay.
He's blowing up fields at the ranch. He lures them down into these tunnels, and he's just picking them off. Easily the best part of the movie.
How many numbers do you think?
Oh, at that point he caught up. Like kill count's probably 30 at least.
No. I mean, how many people showed up to his ranch?
30, probably.
Okay.
Give or take, and they all died. And he killed every single one of them. It turned into the standard. He saved the boss for last.
Yep.
At that time, Rambo actually got shot, like, I think twice. And it's just one of those cool, like, he doesn't let that shit phase him.
Which really sucks, because his doctor had just put him on blood thinners. And,
right. Right. So we get to the big finale, and the drug lord guy's, like, strung up in the barn, and he gives him a pretty brutal death with a knife. Like, he's like, I'm going to pay you back for everything you did. And he just...
At the bar?
No, the barn.
Oh, the barn. I was about to say, like, what a fucked up...
Yeah, no.
Who owns that bar?
Hey, I'll take 2 shots of...
Yeah. It's like,
no,
I'm going to use your
he's
bar
literally
for
like
public
halfway...
execution.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the big moment. You know how you were saying he never puts the bandana on?
Uh-huh.
In the final scene with the big boss, he finally takes the bow out, like the legendary Rambo bow. And he basically crucifies...
The Rambo.
Yeah, he basically crucifies him with arrows.
Yeah.
And then he goes up and just... He told him, he's like, I'm going to rip your heart out. And he does. Like, and they literally show it. He rips his heart out. Holds it in his hand. Dude dies. And then I thought it was going to be like a big iconic ending. Rambo's bleeding out. He goes and sits on his front porch. Starts rocking in the chair. Zoom out. Credits roll. I'm like...
I'm cool with that, though.
Yeah, and I was too.
I like weird little endings like that.
Until during the credits, it's a montage of all the Rambos from 1 until now.
Please tell. Do we get an after credit scene?
No, not necessarily. But at the end of the montage, it shows him get up from the chair and he rides away on a horse.
What? Okay.
So it's not necessarily a scene, but it's showing that he lived. So I wouldn't be surprised if next year he's like, coming this summer, Rambo.
Second First Blood.
Re-Blood.
Re-Blood.
So
Jay and Silent Bob reboot Rambo.
I feel like my review of it probably could have been about 4 minutes, but it was good.
I love it. I appreciate the conversation.
Score, if I had to give it a score, because I think I'm going to start giving everything a score, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good.
7 out of 10?
Yeah, I thought it was
Fair
pretty
enough.
good.
Can you give it a letter grade?
B-. I
was gonna say it sounds like a B minus.
It was good. I was impressed. It was pretty good.
That's surprising as hell. I can't tell you more than I think that's just shocking. That was something.
Now tons of people could listen to this and be like, that movie was horseshit, and I'll be like, well, you're dumb.
Yeah, you can all have shit opinions. That's fine. We love you guys anyways. But the
I don't.
I'm
just kidding.
No, I wanted to see Rambo again. I'm not so much a movie goer. So it is something I will definitely see when it's out, like for digital.
Hey, also question: if anybody's listening to this show, if you have things you'd like to have reviewed, let us know.
Especially because there's so many things that have been out for years that we would really like to review.
Yeah, like it doesn't have to be new.
We were talking about Under the Red Hood earlier. I was like, just do that, and he was like, no, I'm gonna do Rambo. But
like, if you guys would like to hear our silly banter about like a classic and see if we could butcher it for you,
for sure,
just let us know. It doesn't have to be a movie. It could be a show, movie.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, You want to hear us talk about
Soap
Letterkenny
opera?
and workaholics?
Hey, pitter patter.
Pitter patter. Let's get at her.
So, cool. But yeah, that's my spiel for
For
Rambo.
sure. Well, thank you so much. That was actually a lot of fun to hear. That is exactly, not to be like patting you on the ball sack or anything, but like that's what I wanted out of your reviews and stuff. Like I love being the guy who's like, I don't know what this is, and then you telling me about it, because for some reason it's just fun to hear the story.
I just don't want to like recap the entire movie, but sometimes you got to.
Yeah, just
But
a
it just
decent
is
little
what it is.
synopsis is always fun, and
Yeah.
and I feel like I was in that theater when you were like, and then she dies.
Oh,
I'm
shit,
like,
I
what
feel
the
like I'm
fuck?
there now.
Like, I could see it, but awesome. So we got Rambo, Last Blood, and now I guess we only got one more part of the show left. I'm at.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to tune out. This is your segment, right? So I'm actually going to go. So
This
you
is-
guys have a good night, and good night, my mom.
All right, go ahead and take a nap.
I'm
old
kidding.
man.
Yes, I like this part of the show.
No, I'm joking. I love your part of the shit. Go ahead and do it.
Please, Peter.
Peter.
Hey, Peter. Go ahead and do your segment.
All right. Well, as you know, we are implementing the weekly poll into our show. At the end of every show, I'm going to tell you guys what's coming up this week, and I should start doing the week of. Like, I don't know what this week is. What is today? Today's the 25th. So what's Wednesday, Matt? This is the
26, 27, 28.
It's the 30th. This is the week of Wednesday, October 30th, 2019. Thanks for coughing. Wednesday, October 30th, 2019. And for Marvel, man, we got some really cool stuff coming out. Excalibur #1 is another one of the X-Men reboot comics that's come out. Last week, we had the Marauders #1. And bruh, let me tell you how fun it was. I don't know what Excalibur is really going to be about, so I'm going to tell you how fun Marauders was. Marauders was basically Kitty Pryde, Storm, Pyro, Iceman, and this little dragon thing, who Kitty cannot use the gateways to get to and from Krakoa, so she has to use a pirate ship. And so now she's taken on the task with the rest of this kind of makeshift gang to go and rescue people from countries that are blocking mutants from being able to find refuge in Krakoa. And it's really fun. Kitty Pryde is a total badass, and she completely, the writing is phenomenal, and I'm sure whatever Excalibur is going to bring us, I actually just don't know much about Excalibur and like what their tone to do is, but
Kitty Pryde was the one portrayed by Juno.
Juno,
in
yeah.
X3, correct?
what's her name?
I was
Ellen
going to say
Page.
Ellie because I was thinking The Last
But
of
it's
Us.
Ellen Page.
Ellen Page.
Yeah. And she's fantastic. It was fun. It was a nice kind of like departure from the serious tone that we've been getting from the Jonathan Hickman X-Men stuff, which is great, but very serious, and this was a lot more fun and just badass and kind of actiony. And I'm sure Excalibur is going to be a lot of fun too. Or it's going to be serious again, who knows? Excalibur sounds like some serious like Knights of the Round Table shit, so maybe we're just going to get a lot of people who speak like Thor, and then I won't pay attention.
Does mother know thou wearest her drapes? Whatever he said.
Good job.
Okay.
That was a great quote.
Yes, it was.
Friendly
Robert Downey Jr.
Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #13 comes out this week, which Friendly Neighborhood, if you don't know, is being written by Tom Taylor, who has a second book out this week for DC. We'll talk about that in a minute, but Tom Taylor is writing. It's kind of a nice departure, because in The Amazing Spider-Man, you get a lot of the big villains and the craziness that's going on, and they're focusing on absolute carnage right now. But in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, it's really what's going on in Queens, what's going on in the neighborhood. People on the more human level who need help every day. And I think it's just really fun. It's usually like sweet stories and kind of getting to know different spots around the neighborhood, and I really dig it. But Marvel can suck my ass, because they're making they have this Marvel Zombies coming out this week. It's called Marvel Zombies Respawn #1, and Tom Taylor, who writes Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, he's been doing Deceased, which is DC's kind of tech zombie
Right.
book. It's
You said they were like straight ripping off each other on
It's
this, right?
phenomenal. And then as soon as that first issue did good for DC, Marvel announced their Marvel Zombies Respawn. And it's like, fuck you. Like, Marvel I I don't want to just talk trash, but they're the biggest cash grab like organization in the world. Anything they can do that's like, well, this is working, so let's do it too. And it's I know
Disney's that way too. So.
I
And
wait,
I know
what
they
is-
don't have the hand in
You
the
said
comics.
Disney or DC?
Disney.
Oh yeah, Disney. But I know that DC and Marvel constantly their whole careers have been ripping each other off, but
It's just so blatant.
it's
now.
so
like,
blatant
good
now. It's so
Lord.
obvious. It's I don't know.
But people buy it. That's why they'll keep
Yeah,
doing it. They're
and
just
I'm
like,
gonna
whatever.
read it. So I'm part of the problem.
You know what's funny though is there's been so many, let's call them ripoffs or very
Right.
close comparisons, and they're both good. That's what's crazy about some of them. You're like, oh wow, I'm not saying in this instance that's the case, but
Right.
There's been
Yeah,
scenarios
there's
before. I'm like, well,
there's
damn,
several
they're actually
things
both
that are
good.
really that kind of hold up with each other, and it's pretty interesting.
True that.
Red Goblin, Red Death is coming out now. You know that Absolute Carnage is going on.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like Maximum Carnage. It's the sequel to Maximum Carnage.
You said Red Death, and I'm thinking,
I know, yeah.
Okay.
But that's DC. Yeah,
yeah, that's why I was like,
that's
what?
the Flash Batman mix. No, this is Red Goblin, Red Death #1.
Okay.
And it is Norman Osborn who was just freed. I guess in current continuity, he thinks he's Cletus Cassidy. He had his brain scrambled, and so
Wow.
he is Carnage, like original Carnage. While Carnage, Cletus Cassidy is God Carnage, kind of. It's
Huh.
weird. So he just got freed of all that, and now the symbiote is going to take over him again and he'll become the Red Goblin because he's the Green Goblin, you know.
So it's like Green Goblin with
With
a
the
symbiote.
right, so it's Green Goblin with the Carnage symbiote
Holy
on him.
crap, this sounds insane.
Yeah, it's gonna, and it's been a thing before, but it's gonna be really,
Yeah.
really neat. And of course, Venom #19 is coming out to continue what's going on with Absolute Carnage.
In a nutshell, hasn't like pretty much every main player in Marvel had a symbiote at some point?
Any big name has gotten
Yeah, because I've
a
seen
symbiote.
like Kingpin with the symbiote. I've
Right?
seen-
Wait, Kingpin.
Yeah.
Kingpin's never had a symbiote.
Yeah,
has
he
he?
has.
What?
Yes, he has.
The fuck? That's pretty cool.
You know more about comics than I do, but I
I'm-
can say 100% I have seen.
And
And
I-
I'm just saying, like, I know 100% I saw.
Well, I know,
that
and I
before.
can tell you again. You know, I'm a DC guy. I can give you a lot of.
I
DC
actually was
trivia.
reading about. They were saying like some of the most obscure people who've had it, and he
Right.
was on it.
Well, and the idea of Absolute Carnage was that they're hunting down every person and hero on Earth who has ever worn a symbiote.
Yeah, we
because the
discussed this.
symbiote leaves the codex on their DNA.
Yeah, because
and
this is Jet Li, the one.
right, and they have to rip out their spines and harvest the codex. And
Right
it's
on.
really nasty and awesome.
So, and this is Cletus Cassidy that's initiating all this, like the OG Carnage. He's like God Carnage, or
so
is this
Cletus
the
Cassidy
actual-
was dead, and
Okay.
he was brought back to life by.
by the OG symbiote? Like the
I guess by Null, yeah.
Okay.
The something brought him back to life, and the Carnage symbiote itself came like it was never dead.
so it like
you know what I mean?
reincarnated him with his DNA kind of thing.
Yeah, it just brought him back to life. It
Okay.
just it took over him, and now he's like God Carnage, and he's trying to bring Null, who is the symbiote god, out of confinement because they found out that the planet,
Uh-huh.
what do they call it? Planet Clintar. I think if I'm wrong, please correct me, guys. But the planet that they thought was the planet that it came from is not a planet. It is the whole thing is symbiote, and it is only made because he's in the middle. There, it's all of the different symbiotes acting as a planet to imprison him in the middle of it.
What the hell?
Yeah, so the god of the symbiotes, Null, is imprisoned in the middle of Planet Clintar.
So how effed in the head are the writers of this? Because this is wild.
So if you read like Donny Cates, who is doing it, he's wanted to write Venom his entire life. That's like he says at least that was his goal of being a comic book creator.
Yep.
And he's had a lot of these ideas for a long time. I will say if you read and catch up to everything that's going on just from his run and everything, he made it make a lot of sense.
Like
And he
carried
took
on pretty.
he took a
fluidly.
lot of care to really reach back and know the Venom and the symbiote like history and not just retcon things. He just made, instead of retconning things, he was like, oh, I'm just going to make these tie together.
Cool.
And he did a really good job at doing that. So Marvel's going to have a really good week. I'm excited to read my books from Marvel, and I hope you guys go and check a bunch of these out, especially the Red Goblin, man. I'm excited to see what that's going to
Yeah,
look
that
like.
sounds sick.
DC this week is the week of annuals. Every year we get a week of annuals, and sometimes it's 2 weeks, but every year we get a week where it's just a bunch. So let's see what annuals are happening this week. Batman and the Outsiders is getting annual number 1. The main Batman title is getting annual number 4. Nightwing is getting annual number 2. I think, I forgot to write it down, but I think Aquaman is also getting an annual. And then there's a couple others from some of the scattered titles of DC. Apart from annuals, we're getting one of the coolest looking black label books to come out. And basically Joe Hill, who is a comic, like a horror comic creator, they gave him his own line of DC Black Label horror books, and the first one is coming out this week called Basket Full of Heads. And I don't really know what it's about. All I know is that the cover is a person in a raincoat holding a basket full of heads. So I'm pretty excited to see what Joe Hill has come up with. He's a pretty amazing horror writer. He's written a lot of stuff in the past, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I'm a big fan of this kind of genre. You know, I mean, I'm writing a horror book right now. And
Yeah, I love horrors.
You do? No, horror, Matt. Horror.
Oh, shit.
Scary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and you weren't saying Jonah Hill either, were you?
Yeah, no.
Damn, I really got to start listening. I'm messing with you.
Yeah, Basket Full of Heads looks cool, though. Deceased number 6 is coming out. This is the final book from Deceased. The last Deceased number 5, man, fucked with my head. I can't wait to see what the hell is about to happen in this last book.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not okay.
Okay.
I'm really scared.
I've noticed you've been really stupid lately, so maybe that'll...
Well, I don't think that's from this book. I think
okay.
I was dropped once. Did I ever tell you that story? We'll talk about it later.
All right.
Yeah. Harleen number 2 is coming out. Harleen is another Black Label book that has been... The first issue was fantastic. The artwork is amazing, and it's basically a look at how Harley Quinn became Harley Quinn from being Harleen Quinzel. And in another, gosh, there's a lot of Black Label coming out. Joker Killer Smile is coming out this week, and it's another one of those, just like Harleen, it's kind of like a look into the mind of the Joker.
Isn't there another Who Laughs villain?
King Shazam is going on right now.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
the one.
and they just introduced the Scarab.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week. Okay.
Yeah, last week they just introduced the evil Blue Beetle was infected. So instead of these ones being brought from the dark multiverses, the Batman Who Laughs just infected 6 people.
And then they turned into
And then they turned into dark versions. So Shazam was one. We found out Gordon was another. He's been infected. Apparently he may have been infected through the entire Batman Who Laughs story, but
with a twist.
So we don't know for sure yet. But he got Jaime Reyes, the blue. So it's Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle.
Oh, so it is Jaime. Okay.
Yeah, not so it's technological Blue Beetle. It's the Scarab.
Gotcha.
It's not Ted Kord OG Blue Beetle.
Gotcha.
Because Ted Kord and Booster Gold I think they're about to have their own series together again, and because there always needs to be a book with Ted Kord and Booster Gold.
I got to catch up on all that stuff with the Batman Who Laughs and all that stuff.
Again, guys, if you didn't read the Dark Knight's Metal event, read it, man. Read every tie-in, read everything, because it truly is worth it, and it leads you into some really great stories that's going on now and that's been going on the last year.
Word.
Yeah, I can't.
Oh, and is there any update on Doomsday Clock?
No. What do we have? We have one issue left.
Still ticking.
I think there's one issue left, and I'm sure it'll come out next month.
I'm just waiting for it to finish before I read it all. So
the last book that is coming out for DC this week, and there's plenty coming out from like Image and some of the smaller ones, but nothing I've been really into. Kind of just like obscure books. Maybe I'll start talking about some of those, but I don't care enough. But from
that
DC,
might be a fun segment. Try to find like obscure titles.
Yeah, like the most obscure,
or just like stuff we think's really good,
independent book.
Yeah.
But the last book from DC that I'm so excited about is another Tales from the Dark Multiverse. So they have this, not necessarily a series, it's a series of one-shots. The first one to come out was Tales from the Dark Multiverse Nightfall. So it's basically events that have happened in our world, but what they looked like in one of the doomed worlds from the Dark Multiverse.
Is it called Nightfall with any correlation to Nightfall?
It was 100% correlation to Nightfall.
Hell
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. It was what
I'm just,
it was that story.
I'm trying to make the production of the broadcast
Very
more
good.
exciting.
Yeah, so in this one, Bane had broken the bat, and Azrael took over, and then Azrael basically disbodied Bruce Wayne and just kept his head and brain like alive.
What the hell?
And yeah, it was a lot of really, and he turned Gotham into a police state and ran everything. It was really, it was awesome. It was a really cool story. And so it's set up with the Tempest Fugonaut being like the Watcher. So they have their own like Watcher character from like Marvel's What If Tales. Anyways, so this Tales from the Dark Multiverse this week is going to be the death of Superman. And I can't tell you anything about it. Just know that it's going to... So the idea is that the Dark Multiverse, every one of those worlds are doomed. So they're not going to have happy endings.
Right.
You know, the last one didn't. This one's not going to.
So Doomsday will probably kill him dead.
Yeah, so this is what if Doomsday came and fought Superman and it had a really shitty... like,
he probably kills
really
him in like 2
ending.
minutes and then kills everyone.
I don't know. I'm just excited. The cover looks great.
So the last one you just mentioned about Nightfall...
Right.
So is it just a one-off and like it ends horribly and then that's
Yep.
just it? Like
Yeah,
end of the story?
That's it. Yeah. That's not going to continue. At least to my knowledge. Yeah.
But it's just like a little one.
Just
one
a
time,
one-off.
one and
It's an oversized issue. Like it's not just
Wow.
23 pages or anything. I think it's like 30 something pages.
and
But
it's just really dark and
yeah,
I might have to check that out.
there's
too.
like a lot of adult themes. He ripped. So like you get the son of Bane in there. Like Bane had a kid, and he can, because of all his father's use of Venom, he can just activate Bane, like go
He's
beast.
got it in his genes.
Yeah, he got it. He has it like in his genes. So he's like a meta now where he can just Bane out. And Azrael is sick from using all the Venom. So because he was using, as soon as he killed Bane, he started using Venom and all this stuff, and it made him very sick. And he rips Bane's son's arm right off, like right out of its socket. It was disgusting. It was awesome.
Wow. I'm gonna have to check those out.
Yeah. So
Cool.
That's it for the weekly poll, guys.
Sounds exciting.
I'm very excited. I want you guys to hopefully go check some of these books out. Come see us at Mythical Mountain, either in Jacksonville or St. Augustine, if you're in the Jacksonville, Florida area, or go to your local comic book shop. Please support their business. Stop stealing stuff online, guys. You're killing small business. And I don't know. Sorry. I've been really passionate about this lately. I'm going to start doing a lot more videos about it. I did a whole video on our Facebook page about it, and the Mythical Mountain one. And
Keep the dream alive, guys.
yeah,
Come
guys, just, the day that we start to die and it only turns into like
You
TV.
spend $20 on crack, you can spend $3 on a comic book.
You spent so much money on weed this month.
So much smack and heroin, but you can't afford a comic book.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes,
so
I
the day it goes to only TV and movies and we no longer have this source material, like,
It's gonna suck.
it's going to happen someday, but
Oh, of
I would
course.
like to hold that out as long as possible. But thank you guys so much once again. I really appreciate being able to do this show and you guys listening. Please go ahead and tell us on Facebook. We're going to put a couple polls up this week. Tell us if you picked up any of the books, if you liked it. We're also going to put up, if you liked it. If you picked up any of the books, which ones you got. We're also going to put up, did you see Rambo? Did you like that? Was it a 7 like Matt said? Or are you going to be like, there wasn't enough action? Beep, 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 beep,
Oh,
beep.
by the way, we actually we love conflict, but
Sure.
we encourage, if I ever do a review, tell me how wrong I am. Like,
Yeah.
just be like, no, you're dumb. The
Let me
movie
just
was
go ahead
terrible.
and also say to the guy who said that they didn't like Joker because there was hardly any action and he had such a low fuck you. Like, let me just tell you something.
That was actually me.
You went to go see this movie because you're a fucking mongoloid who only likes watching MCU movies where everything blows up, and you were like probably love Jerry Bruckheimer and what's that fucker who did Transformers?
Hey, easy with that. That's Michael Bay. He
Michael
made
Bay.
Bad Boys.
Like, you're a big Michael Bay fan. Like, you absolutely don't deserve to watch these movies, but we love hearing you say stupid stuff. So please continue to comment. We are going to, like I said, be putting those polls up, and just
Overall, just looking for friends.
yeah, hit us up on Facebook. We'd love to get some drinks, maybe, talk about it. All right, cool. That's going to wrap it up for this show.
right.
Thank you guys so much. Good
Have a
night,
good
Matt's
week,
mom.
everybody.